So Governor Walz is drawing a hard line around the Boundary Waters, issuing that executive order this morning that effectively bans new copper and nickel mining in its watershed. But we had a question on Breaking the News. Can an executive order actually do that? And what happens if a mining company takes that order to court? Sammy has the story.
The bottom line is there's nothing they can do about it.
Governor Tim Walz's executive order stops new state non-ferrous mineral leasing in the Rainy River headwaters, which drains into the Boundary Waters. But it may be a temporary fix.
If there is a governor after Walz that does away with this executive order, then essentially we would be back to the same place where we were yesterday.
That's exactly right.
James Coleman specializes in energy law. He's at the U. He says if Walz's successor reissues a similar order, legal challenges posed by Twin Metals, a subsidiary of a Chilean Mayan company, or others could arise.
One thing that they could say is, well, under Minnesota law, you're supposed to make a decision about this project. They might also try to raise a federal claim that the federal law doesn't allow the state to simply say, look, this area is completely off limits.
Walz's order directs the DNR and Minnesota Pollution Control Agency to pause environmental review and permitting work on non-ferrous mining proposals in the watershed until litigation and any resulting rulemaking are fully resolved.
The ongoing lawsuit is related to the non-ferrous mine siting rule, and so the reason we're pausing any environmental review on that is, one, through that process, the DNR has already determined that that rule needs updating to better protect the Boundary Waters from noise and light.
The order also prohibits the DNR from cooperating with the federal government in any environmental reviews or proposed non-ferrous mining projects in the watershed.
That is relatively unusual because usually both the state and the federal government have a common interest in understanding better the environmental impacts of the project, but it's not unprecedented and it wouldn't stop the federal government from going forward.
Walz is also ordering the DNR to draft legislation to permanently prohibit non-ferrous mining in the area.
That's where you would probably have a federal preemption challenge with the federal government saying that this law basically goes directly against the federal law allowing production of these resources. It doesn't mean the state would necessarily lose, but that is the kind of area where the state government might be most likely to be preempted.
So 90 days after Walz leaves office, the order could expire. Republican State House Speaker Lisa Demuth said this is not what Minnesota needs, while Democratic U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar says she has serious concerns about a project so close to the Boundary Waters, but believes projects can be done in a safe and responsible manner through environmental reviews and permits. Jana?
Yeah, it's all very interesting, very political, obviously, since Tim Walz isn't running again to do this at this time. And it just doesn't sound like we know exactly what either of those women will do.
Yeah, exactly. So for the people that are fighting to protect the Boundary Waters, the fight certainly is not over.
All right, Sammy, thanks for the update.